In today's challenge, I'm going to be making a complete track using Synplant as the only source of sounds. Now, for those of you not familiar with Synplant, it's kind of a quirky virtual software synthesizer made by the same company that also make Microtonic. So if you've seen some of my earlier videos, you will know that I focus mainly on producing techno music. But in today's challenge, it's going to be an open question what kind of track I make. It's just going to depend on the sounds I get from Synplant. And this, in my experience, is a nice creative strategy where you leave it up to chance what kind of sounds you get, and whatever you get out of this VST, you just have to make something with it. And it can lead to very interesting results that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise, but it can also lead to complete failure. So let's get started here. I've created an Ableton Live project with 8 MIDI tracks, and on each MIDI track I have an instance of Synplant. So this is the interface here, very different from a normal soft synth. I'll explain a little bit about what's happening here as we go along. So in the middle we have a core here, a seed. You can click on that, you can control click and change it. And then there's this ring with different notes. I've connected the MIDI keyboard to play the different notes. And now from this seed you can pull these leaves. Wow. And that'll change the sound. And every leaf is unique. So a lot of sound exploring possibilities, but not a very precise shaping of the sound. It's sort of up to chance what you get. There are some controls around the ring here, which we'll get into as we go along. First off, I'm just gonna pull some leaves out here and see if I find a sound that I like. They're all quite bassy. So if I want something else, I just click Control on the seed here and I get a different sound, and again, something to explore here. I think this is pretty cool. And now if I like this and I click, now every pitch is going to be this sound. Okay, so like I said, I don't know what I'm exactly making. Let's just record something. On to the next track. I'll plant a new device on this seed here and see what we get from that. Some noisy stuff here. I can play with this atonality control, change the character of the sound. There's also an effect control that adds some reverb. Maybe try this and see how it goes with the first clip that I created. Let's just try that. I'll record it. And moving on to the next track. This is fun, just generating some sounds, see what comes up here. This is a very weird one. I actually like this one. Let's add some delay. I have an ascent effect here. I'm just gonna record that as well. So this is all unquantized MIDI, a little bit chaotic. I might change the timing later on. For now, let's just move on to the next track and see what we get there. So let's plant a new seed. And this is a more traditional synth sound. By the way, if you pull this ring, all the leaves grow. That's kind of useful as well. Actually, I like this sound. Let's add some reverb, which is also on ascent. Trusted Valhalla room here. Yeah, let's record something like that as well. One thing that doesn't help is that I'm really a terrible keyboard player, but fortunately I can edit notes. Let's see how this goes. Okay, moving on to the next track. Again, same mode of operation, planting a new seed here. Yeah, let's record that. Such awful timing, but hey, I'm just gonna fix that right now because it's a little bit too annoying. It needs to be on the beat here. That's better. Okay, so next track, we're making progress here. Planting a new seed. Let's do it again. I think I want something bassy now. Well, this is definitely something bassy. I think this is just fine for a bass. I think the sound on the first track has a lot of low frequency content as well. So let's have a look at maybe high passing that. So if I put a high pass on this, I lose some of the low end, but it keeps this strange character here, which I like. Let's add some delay to this. Yeah, and that's gonna make some room for this bass sound here. That's really nice and low. I'm going to increase the release time here. Hope that works. I guess it doesn't. This is a little bit like a stabby sound. There's some modulation happening which prevents it from being a longer note. If I want to change this, I can actually go into the DNA of this sound with this control here. And now we get some more detailed control of all the synth parameters. So I'm thinking it could be the filter being controlled by an envelope, which is making the sound cut short. So maybe if I just increase the filter frequency here. Well, I like it this way. Filter mod, put that down to 0. That's interesting. Okay, so that didn't work. So you can go really deep into editing this sound. Volume decay, volume sustain. That's it. Okay, so it's nothing to do with the filter. It's just a basic envelope. Okay, let's play this with the rest. So I'm going to record this. And moving on to the next track, planting a new seed. And what do we get? Nothing, no sound. Okay, something very wobbly. So what do I actually need for this track? Well, maybe some percussion. Or maybe some more long drone sounds. I just keep planting new seeds until I find something that I can use. Kinda liking this. But again, I want it to be longer ringing, so let's go into the DNA here and manipulate some genes, as it says. Sustain, perhaps. Whoo. Pretty cool. There's some modulation happening. I don't know if that's the filter mod. Whew. Oh, I like this. So I'm just going to record a drone here. Yeah, and let's do some sound shaping on this. Maybe add a chorus. Whew. And what else? Let's give it its own reverb. And some LFO tool. A slow volume swell, something like that. Yeah, make the effect a little bit less extreme. So for this last sound, it would be nice if I could make something a little bit more percussive, maybe something like a kick drum or a tom. Let's just see what we find here when I plant a new seed. That just sounds great, doesn't it? Actually, it's almost a kick drum with some imagination. This is actually a nice bass. What I'm going to do, I'm going to resample this and shape it a little bit further with a simpler device. So I'm going to create an audio track here, resampling, solo this one, record arm. I have to record arm both of them, otherwise it won't take the MIDI input from the keyboard. And I'm just going to record a note, just one. Now I'll just get rid of the Synplant here and I'll drag the audio in here. Now that creates a simpler. I don't need the audio track anymore. Just a simpler with one note here. I'll just create a clip, play one note, maybe once every 2 bars. So a longer release time and a pitch envelope. Now I can use the LFO as kind of a pitch envelope, but what I can also do is create a sampler out of this. So simpler to sampler, pitch oscillator, pitch envelope. Here we go. Yeah, that's a good idea. So let's pitch this down an octave. That's chunky, that's a chunky kick drum there. Okay, so. And I'm thinking I need one more part or maybe some sort of change in the key. What I'll do is I'll resample this track and create a shorter percussive sound out of it, like a hi-hat. So Control T here, resample. That's enough. Control Shift T creates a new MIDI track. And like with the previous one, I'll just drag the audio on here. I can delete this, just delete the audio track, create a clip here, just some simple 8th notes perhaps. Let's move the starting point, very short sustain, no sustain, very short decay. Play with the pitch a little bit. Okay, let's apply a high pass. And that's a little hi-hat like sound. And I'm thinking with this we could use some sort of a B section where the notes change. So maybe make some variations of these clips here. This one here, maybe change that. So I'm going to duplicate this clip and I can change these notes around. Maybe transpose everything. Yeah. Let's do something similar with this. Yep. And this bass as well. Create a new clip here. Just move these over. 3 semitones. Okay, so let's do one more variation of these 3. I'm gonna create some new clips and move everything up. 2 more semitones. Okay, so that's the sound generation part done. Now I'm going to see if I can create an arrangement with these sounds. Okay, so I've created a basic arrangement and now I will do a playthrough and talk a little bit about what I did exactly. But before I do that, let me show you one thing. I did create an extra track here, which I called snare. And basically what I did is I resampled the hi-hat sound from here. I recorded the sound, added a decapitator for a bunch of distortion and then put it onto another MIDI track in another simpler. And played a little bit around with the envelope to get us this snare-like sound with some reverb on the send. And again, that was based on this hi-hat sound. Furthermore, I made some variations of already existing MIDI clips, which I'll show you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's play this through and I'll show you what I've done here. So all the automation that's happening, I show it here in the arrange view. As you can see, it's not that much automation, but for instance, this crackle sound here, it has a high pass filter that is slowly lowering its frequency, becoming more prominent. The melody, the main melody here, I put a low pass filter on that, and that's opening up slowly. And then the hi-hat here, that's actually a different clip that you heard in the beginning with less notes. This is the one that I created initially. So things are building up a little bit. This high note is coming in. Also at the first part, the start, the bass line was just one continuous note and not the pattern that is playing now, which was the first one. I actually didn't quantize it, I did quantize some other things. Okay, then we have the drone that's fading in here. And now the kick pattern starting. Kick I did some tuning to as well. I added a sub filter, which is a great little free plugin that ends low range harmonics to make the kick punchier. I also played with the pitch envelope a little bit, made it shorter, and the global envelope here as well, the decay was shortened. In the meantime, I added the hi-hat here, and now we get this modulation. So the melody, the high note and the bass, they are moving up. Like I showed in the beginning, those variations, I call them A, B and C. And now there's a small breakdown. And what's happening here is this bubble bird sound. The reverb is increasing, and as well in the drone here, that's now being sent to a Valhalla shimmer, which is a great plugin that adds, well, shimmer, tuned reverbs basically, and I tuned those reverbs down an octave here, -12. That actually adds some low range to this drone. In the meantime, the snares come in, as well as this faster hi-hat pattern, and the modulating chords again. And now we go back to the start. The start of the melody, that is. And now it starts winding down with no more hi-hats here. The snare and the open hi-hats are continuing on, but in the next part the opening hi-hat is going to slow down even further. And then here this sound, I'm introducing a reverb, and at the same time I'm fading it out. The filter on the melody is closing again, the low pass filter is slowly going down. And then these parts here, the high notes and the drone, are also slowly fading out. And then we come to the last section where there's no more kick drum. This crackle sound, which is also kind of a rhythmic sound, is stopped. The hi-hat's gone, and now everything is just winding down. You can still hear the sort of chirping of the birds here with the high pass. Sorry, not the high pass, that's the reverb increasing and the gain here on the utility decreasing. I always do gain automation on utility plugins, so I leave up the mixer volume free. And that's basically the track. Now, I'm not terribly excited about this track, but that's not the point really. This is a proof of concept, and I showed you how you can make a full track with only sounds from one plugin. In this case, the weird and wonderful Synplant. So I hope that was interesting, enjoyable, or both for you. If you did find this a good video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Those things really help. In any case, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.